Hello everyone, welcome back to SolveStream. If you're preparing for IGCSE Mathematics, this channel is here to make math simple, clear and exam ready. Today we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equations using 3 different methods. And not just that, by the end of this video, you will know exactly which method to use in your exam. There are 3 main methods to solve quadratic equations. First, factorization. Second, completing the squares. And third, the quadratic formula. In this video, we'll solve examples using all 3 methods, compare them, and by the end, you will know exactly which method is the smartest choice in your exam. So stay with me till the end because choosing the right method can save you marks and time in your exam. So the first method by which we are going to solve the quadratics is called the factoring method. In this we are going to solve 2 equations. For the first one with the coefficient of x square being 1 and the next question where the coefficient of x square not being 1. So let's solve the first question, which is x square minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. The first step is to look at the constant term here, which is 6, and the coefficient of x, which is negative 5. So now you need to choose 2 numbers such that multiplication of those 2 numbers must give you a 6 and the addition of those 2 numbers should give you a negative 5. So the numbers can be negative 3 and negative 2 because negative 3 multiplied by negative 2 will give you a 6 and negative 3 plus negative 2 will give you a negative 5. And these numbers are helpful in splitting the middle term. So we are going to rewrite the equation like this, x square. Now we are going to split minus 5x as minus 3x minus 2x plus 6 equal to 0. So this is how the numbers are useful. We are splitting the middle term with those numbers. Now consider the first 2 terms. You factorize it, x minus 3. Then from these 2 terms, you can take minus 2 outside. It becomes x minus 3, which is equal to 0. Factorizing it further, you get x minus 3 multiplied by x minus 2 equal to 0. Now using the zero product rule, we get x minus 3 equal to 0 or x minus 2 equal to 0. When x minus 3 equal to 0, we get x equal to a positive 3, and when x minus 2 equal to 0, we get x equal to a positive 2. Hence x equal to 3 and 2 are the solutions of this equation. Now look at the second equation. Now we are going to solve that using factorization method. Here you need to observe one thing, the coefficient of x square is 2. So you're not supposed to find the factors of 3 here, but you need to find the factors of 6, which is the product of 2 and 3. And you need to find 2 numbers as that when you multiply you get a 6 and when add you get a 7. And the difference here is, for the first question you found the factors for 6, but in the second question the coefficient of x square is 2, so you need to first multiply 2 with 3, so you get a 6, and now you choose the numbers. Here the numbers can be 6 and 1 because 6 multiplied by 1 equal to 6 and 6 plus 1 is equal to 7. Now these numbers will again help us in splitting the middle term. So the equation can be rewritten as 2x square plus 7x can now be written as 6x plus 1x plus 3 equals 0. Now look at the first 2 terms. You factorize it, take out 2x outside, then you get x plus 3. Then from these 2 terms you take plus 1 outside, then you get x plus 3 equals 0. Now factorizing it further, we get x plus 3 multiplied by 2x plus 1 equals 0. Again using the zero product rule here, x plus 3 will be equal to 0 or 2x plus 1 equal to 0. So when x plus 3 equals 0, x will be equal to negative 3, and 2x plus 1 equal to 0, x will be equal to a negative half. Hence these are the 2 solutions of this quadratic equations. We are done with the factoring method. So here is the second method, which is called completing the squares method. Using this method also, we are going to solve two equations, one with the coefficient of x square being 1 and the other with the coefficient of x square not being 1. So this method can be used when the factorization becomes difficult, which means if you're not able to find the factors of a number, then you can go for this method. So let's get started with the first question. The first step in this method is to move the constant term to the next side. So the equation now becomes x square plus 6x equal to negative 5. The next step is to look at the coefficient of x. It is 6 here. You have to do two steps, divide by 2 and then square it. So you get a 3 square. So you need to add 3 square on both sides of the equation. So the equation now becomes x square plus 6x plus 3 square equals minus 5 plus 3 square. And it is very important to remember that you need to add 3 square on both sides. Now the left hand side equation becomes x plus 3 whole square, which means we have completed the square here, which is equal to minus 5 plus 9, which is equal to a positive 4. X plus 3 whole square is equal to 4, which means x plus 3 equal to root of 4, which is equal to plus or minus 2. So x plus 3 can be equal to a positive 2 or it can be equal to a negative 2. So when x plus 3 is equal to a positive 2, x will be equal to negative 1, and x plus 3 equal to negative 2 implies x equal to negative 5. So x equal to negative 1 and negative 5 are the solutions of this equation. Let's move on to the next question. Here the first step is not to move the constant term to the next side. This is not the first step you do here because the coefficient of x square is not 1. So we need to divide the entire equation with the coefficient of x square, which is 2 here, to make sure that the coefficient of x square becomes 1, and we can solve the rest of the equation using the same method as the first question. So let's do that. We are going to now divide the entire equation with 2. So the equation now becomes 2x square plus 8x plus 3 whole divided by 2, which is equal to 0. Now we will divide each term by 2. We get x square plus 4x plus 3 over 2 equals 0. Now this equation has become the same equation as the first one because the coefficient of x square is 1. We are going to follow the same steps now. Move the constant term to the next side. It becomes x square plus 4x equals negative 3 by 2. Now look at the left hand side. Look at the coefficient of x, which is 4 here, divide by 2 and then square it, you get 2 square. You're going to add that 2 square on both sides of the equation. So the equation now becomes x square plus 4x plus 2 square equals negative 3 over 2 plus 2 square. Now we have completed the square on this side, which can be written as x plus 2 whole square equals minus 3 over 2 plus 4, which can be simplified as 5 over 2. Now x plus 2 will be equal to plus or minus square root of 5 over 2, which means x will be equal to minus 2 plus or minus root of 5 over 2. Hence this is a solution. So we are done with completing the square method. Here is a third method by which we can solve the quadratics, which is called the quadratic formula. And quadratic formula works best in all the equations. It doesn't matter whether the coefficient of x square is 1 or not 1. We can apply this method. And the formula is given by x square equals minus b plus or minus b square minus 4ac under root divided by 2a. We are going to solve two equations using the quadratic formula. Let's do the first one, which is given by x square plus 6x plus 5 equal to 0. Here a equal to 1, which is coefficient of x square, b equal to 6, coefficient of x, and c equal to 5. Now applying the formula, we get x equal to minus b, which is minus 6, plus or minus the square root of b square, which is 6 square, minus 4ac, 4 times 1 multiplied by c, which is 5. Then everything divided by 2a, which is 2 times of 1. Now simplifying it further, we get minus 6 plus or minus, 6 square is 36, so we'll write 36 minus 4 times 5 is 20. Don't forget to put the root, divided by 2, which is equal to minus 6 plus or minus 36 minus 20 will give you a 16, so root of 16 divided by 2. Now we know that root of 16 is 4, so we can replace that with a 4. We get minus 6 plus or minus 4 divided by 2. Now x is equal to minus 6 plus 4, which will give you a negative 2 divided by 2, which is equal to negative 1. When x is minus 6 minus 4, we get a minus 10 divided by 2, which is equal to a negative 5. So x equal to negative 1, negative 5 are the solutions of this quadratic equation. So let's move on to the next equation, which is 2x square plus 8x plus 3 equal to 0. Simply apply the formula, there is no difference. So here in this coefficient of x square, which is a equal to 2, and b, which is coefficient of x, is equal to 8, and the constant term c is equal to 3. Applying the formula, we get x equal to minus b, which is minus of minus 8, plus or minus root of b square, which is 64 minus 4, a is 2 multiplied by 3, and everything divided by 2a, so it is 2 times of 2. Simplifying it further, we get minus 8 plus or minus 64 minus 24, because the multiplication gives us 24, divided by 2 times 2, which is 4, which is equal to minus 8 plus or minus 64 minus 24 will give us a 40. So it becomes root of the square root of 40 divided by 4, which is equal to minus 8 plus or minus, simplifying this root 40, we get 2 root of 10 divided by 4. Now we can simplify this and write it as minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 10 divided by 2. So this is a solution using the quadratic formula. So x is equal to minus 2 plus or minus root of 10 over 2. Alright, so now we have learned all three methods to solve a quadratic equation. Let's quickly compare them. First, factoring method. This is the safest method, but only if the quadratic is factorizable. If the numbers are nice and simple, always try factoring first. Second, completing the squares. This method is very powerful and very useful, especially when factorization becomes difficult. It also helps us understand where the quadratic formula actually comes from. And third, the quadratic formula. This is the safest method. It always works no matter how complicated the numbers are, decimals, fractions, large values, it will always give you the correct answer. So in exams, what should you do? If the questions look simple, try factoring. If it doesn't factor nicely, immediately move to the quadratic formula. That's the smart strategy. Remember, mathematics is not about memorizing methods. It's about choosing the right method at the right time. And to help you practice all three methods, I've created a worksheet for you. It includes questions on factoring, completing the square, quadratic formula, and mixed exam style problems. Download it from the description and try solving them on your own. If you really want to master quadratics, practice is the key. If this video helped you understand quadratic equations clearly, please like the video, share it with your classmates, and subscribe for more IGCSE math lessons. I'll see you in the next lesson.